Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Backchat. I'm Amy, and this is my partner Maggie, and together we are ThinkerThemer, and in Backchat we look at all things crowdfunded, so Kickstarter, GameFound. We look at games that are on these platforms in the last 2 weeks, and then we rank them, and we do that every 2 weeks, and we try and look at as many of them as we can, evaluate whether we're just ourselves genuinely excited to back them and get the game. It doesn't mean that we won't eventually kind of play the game.
And it doesn't mean that we don't believe that the game is not good. We don't know any of these games. We haven't played them. It's just how excited we are to check them out.
And sometimes we just are less excited because we know we might be able to pick it up at retail.
Yes.
So, you know, sometimes there's a Kickstarter exclusive or something like that that makes us even more excited.
Yeah.
So we evaluate it based on a number of different things. One thing that I will say about this fortnight is our rankings in general, I think, are a little bit lower. Like there was probably less excitement overall for... there was still a lot of campaigns. Like I think we looked at 34 campaigns. But yeah, I didn't feel as excited about most of them. Like it was like a few good ones and then a really long tail.
Yeah.
And the distribution
it's
of
always going to be
scores.
the way. Like some weeks, you know, some weeks there's going to be a lot, some weeks there's going to be fewer.
Exactly. And another thing that happened this week is I did a thing that you should never do. I logged into my credit card and I typed in the search function Kickstarter. And my goodness, like I knew I was buying a lot, but I never had totaled the amount. And my recommendation is don't do it. No, actually be really responsible.
Yeah, I'd say do it.
Do
know
do
how
it.
much you're spending.
Be responsible. But it was quite the shock. And the figure, which I will not disclose, was astronomical, the amount that I've spent on Kickstarter in the last year. And what I didn't tell Maggie is that didn't even include like the pledge manager when you add shipping and that type of thing.
Great.
So sorry, babe. But anyway, it's by the by. But anyway, I'm trying to be a little more controlled in my spending. So really just trying to back the ones that we're most excited about. Yeah. Yes, be responsible, Amy.
Yes.
Okay.
All right,
well, let's get into
it.
the list. Number 10.
All right. So at number 10, we have Australia with a Z. Revenge, Australia, Revenge of the Old Ones. Now, this game, you would think it might rank higher, being that, you know, we are in Australia. So with this game, I love that it's actually
This is for the expansion, though.
Yes.
Yeah, the campaign, we should clarify. Campaign is for expansion, but we haven't actually played the base game.
No, we've never actually played them. And the reason for that is largely just the theme. Like, we're not really into, like, monster... Cthulhu style, like, chasing, battling type. So that's been the main barrier, and that's still the main barrier for us, keeping it kind of on the lower side. I am very excited, though, that it is a New Zealand publisher. Lady boss, female, owned. And
it's Martin Wallace is the designer who now lives in Australia.
Yes.
So that's pretty cool.
Yes.
And obviously he's, he made one of your favorite games, Brass Birmingham. So, I mean, he does have the
cred.
He does have the cred to make a fantastic game.
Eyes,
so I'm sure it is a wonderful game.
Yes.
I think the interesting thing about the theme mashup, because it's like, is it 1930s?
It's an alternative 1930s.
Yeah. But it's also like mashed up with Cthulhu. But then the mechanics is like you're building a train line and it's like route building. Yeah. But then it's also combat with the old ones or the Cthulhu kind of
So racing
creatures.
against time, you're preparing everything, building up everything, getting ready for when the old one wakes up. And then you have to obviously deal.
But I like what he did with the mashup of theme and then the mashup of mechanics.
Yeah.
Like trying to kind of throw everything in and see what happens.
Yeah.
Anyway, we haven't backed it. It's probably, just scraped in. The theme's not really for us.
Like, and that would be largely it for me. It's just a theme alone. It's not my thing. But,
exactly. But that's our number 10, Australia. Our number 9 is a game called Vigilante. And Vigilante is by Reed Mascola is the designer, who has Paranoia Rising is his publishing company. And I have spoken to Reed and he is just so lovely. Such a lovely, lovely guy. If you go to Paranoia Rising Games, you can see that they have a whole page dedicated to representation in gaming. So many props for that. Reed did talk to us actually about this game, and when we looked at it, it probably wasn't for us, just because, again, it's always these games that have like a combat driven function where there's like, you're attacking or you're taking powers away and you're healing up. Anything like that really isn't for us, unfortunately, or fortunately, because it saves us a bit of money.
It's one little ray of sunshine in our bank account.
Yeah. But actually, when we looked at the campaign, or when I looked at the campaign, there was a lot there to like. I thought definitely the secret identities, like playing good, evil, or neutral, I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
And then I really liked the idea of having an objective that changes or is different per player. The objectives that were on the cards or what you needed to achieve. But then for me, once you get into the kind of combat and stuff, I kind of get lost on that. But if you're into that, I certainly think it looks like a really great one to check out.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's our number 9, Vigilante.
Number 8 is Board Royale. Now, this is an interesting one because I've dabbled in Royale, like Battle Royale type games, but Amy spent hours and hours.
Oh, that's revealing.
That is revealing. But I think this is interesting because, well, for a few reasons. Obviously, this is a board game implementation of that concept of last person standing. And I love from the artwork point of view of the cards, I find it really appealing.
I did too as well.
And the concept of collecting resources to craft items that then you can use to like make sure that you are the last person standing.
Yeah.
So like I'm curious about those elements. They've done so many different offshoots or modules.
Yes, so again, this campaign is not for you can pick up the base game, but they've already successfully made the base game. This is about the expansions, and you're about to go into, they've added a lot of things.
A lot.
A lot of things to the base game. The base game actually is really well reviewed, which is part of the reason why it was kind of bumped up in my opinion. Like if you go to BGG and look into Board Royale, people were pretty happy with it.
Yeah.
I was kind of excited by you know what did it? It was the video. The video was really fun. It made me laugh actually because they've acted out like what it's like to play the game, and it's pretty funny. But sometimes there's just a role for those games where it's just that kind of constant take that, and trying to win with that secret objective kind of idea. I really like that. Like people don't really quite know what they need from you or what.
There seems to be a lot of also like negotiating and like sort of
high social interaction.
A lot of social interaction. Yeah.
And I liked that they had some variants in the game where it wasn't about killing. I thought that was really cool. That was one thing that they've added, I believe. And also they've got a mode now that's cooperative. I should say we are back in this game because it also seems to be really good value for the base game, and we're mainly interested in the base game. We didn't want to get into all the expansions before we tried the base game, so we are just going to pick that up.
Yep.
So that is our number 8, Board Royale. Didn't see that coming actually. Had no idea about that game before it launched.
Well, I never have any idea. You always introduce me to all the fun stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, look at that.
Our number 7. Our number 7 is Meeple Sauce board game upgrades. Not technically a game.
Yeah.
Not a game.
Enhancements for gaming experience.
Yeah, and so what this is a collection of meeple sets, and they are all silk screened, and they are made purposely or custom designed for certain games, and there's a lot to love about them, but there's one in particular, and everyone who's watching probably knows which game Maggie is focused on.
Good old Obsession. I have said it enough times. I absolutely love that game. It's one of those like ultimate thematic experiences for me. So I feel like bringing in these meeples is just going to enhance and elevate my entire delightful gaming experience just to a new level. So I'm pretty excited about this.
You're pretty excited about it, but then are we backing it? I haven't backed it yet.
Well,
it's very expensive. I will say that I thought they were all very expensive. Not to say that, whatever it cost them to make it, I'm sure it's not cheap. But as an addition to a game, I think it was $70 for the Obsession pack. It's a lot of money.
Yeah. Undecided. I'm really leaning towards it. But we'll have to see.
We'll have to have an offline discussion about that one.
Take this offline and maybe have a look at that credit card statement alongside the discussion, and make some
hard choices.
Maybe make it around like, let's do some culling, offload, and sell some of the games that we know we're not going to play.
Happen. Yes. Definitely.
And then when we've created some funds.
But I thought also some of going back to the campaign, I thought some of them were more appealing than others. Like you also said, let's get the Clans of Caledonia ones. Yes. But I was like, I feel like they're already the shape of the things, and I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
And likewise, I think Feast for Odin was on there, but I was like, actually, I've never had a problem with the meeples because there's so much going on with the rest of the board.
Exactly,
But Obsession, because it's more stripped back in its graphic design, having those kind of more interesting meeples, I think that could be a winner. Anyway, that is how...
Mostly there with backing.
That's our number 7.
Yeah.
Meeple Source board game upgrades. Our number 6 is a little card game.
Koi Garden. This is an interesting one because obviously I like... It looks fairly... I was going to say abstract in its implementation, but having said that, it's an abstract-like puzzle, but you are trying to create a path. And then for different animals, some of them are going to be koi fish, and as you're doing that, you're going to be blocking your own pond or your own kind of ecosystem, so you're making it harder for yourself to continue to play. So I feel like it's going to be one of those games that I like the design of the color choices that they've made, because it's like you get that sort of sense of that kind of the glittery water.
It's really beautiful.
Yeah. But I feel like it's going to have that brain burning element that you get with like a Calico, where you start kind of going, ugh.
And you love those cards. The cards that overlap with each other
like
and create a little puzzle.
I don't know what that's called when you're like overlapping and having to leave certain blocks. Anyways, so I'm looking forward to trying it out for that reason.
But the reason why we haven't backed it is really because I hope that we could pick it up at retail. This is one of those ones that it's like a card game. If we're in Australia, obviously, and shipping is so expensive. So it's like you pay double the price just to get it shipped. So we might pick that one up at retail. But that one is Koi Garden.
Yeah.
Our number 5 is Magna Roma. Magna Roma is a big, sprawling tile placement game. Like, it seems to, just from the photos and things, take up a lot of table space. But, like, it just looks like one of those big experiences. It has, like, monuments as well that are miniatures. And my understanding of the game is that you're drafting, and the drafting kind of looks cool, actually, because at the end of your turn, you place your meeple on the tile that you want to use next turn, which is kind of cool. But the way that the tiles work is when you put them down, they connect with another tile, which generates resources or it generates coins. And so you're kind of seeking to optimize the way that you place them. And then you have the opportunity to build monuments as well on your area. So one thing I will say is that it's obviously set in Rome. And we have a lot of games.
There's a lot of Rome stuff at the moment. Just always. I think
there is a lot.
Yeah. So I think I've got a little bit of Rome fatigue.
A little bit of Rome fatigue. Although I will say, like, this week, some of you may have watched our review of Hadrian's Wall. Again, a Roman theme, but we love that game. So it doesn't mean that it can't be done. So it doesn't rule it out, but I kind of wish we could see some more different things. In the case of Magna Roma, I would actually love to play this. If someone said, come and join me for a game of this, I definitely would. In terms of a game that fits into our collection, I'm a bit worried that we have a lot of tile laying games and we have a lot of Rome games. And it's kind of a big box experience. Like there's a lot of different components to it. So for that reason, we haven't backed it, but we might try it actually when it comes out in retail.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So that's number 5, Magna Roma.
Now up for our number 4, Scrumpy Card Cider. Now, cider is one of those things that I love to drink. So immediately, this theme, I am intrigued and I am keen to check it out. Also, it's got deck manipulation, which is another thing that I'm really interested.
Deck manipulation? Yes, it is. Because you start with your entire deck, don't you? But then you're using the cards. You have to kind of... If you want to get things done, you've got to use the cards and expend them as resources, therefore losing some good cards out of your deck. So instead of building it up, it's kind of the reverse.
Yes.
It's kind of interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's managing.
Yeah, managing it.
Yeah. And multi-purpose
Manipulating it.
Yeah.
Manipulating
Well,
seems...
deck manipulation is what we said.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said
I get it. Okay, yeah. I'm with it now. So and multi-purpose cards, which is always fun.
Yes. Yeah, when you have a choice of what to use it for. So we both gave this a 7, and we thought it looked really interesting just because of that unique deck manipulation idea. We haven't backed this one. It seems like a running theme this week, but we're getting to it. We're getting to some more that we're backing. This one was quite expensive, actually, at when you add shipping, it's like $82 Australian, which is kind of, a lot. Big box game. And it felt more like a smaller box game or some kind of mid-size game. So again, we hope we can pick this one up maybe at retail.
Yep.
So that's our number 4.
Now, number 3, Hippocrates.
Number 3 is Hippocrates by Game Brewer. And at first I was like, I'm not sure. Again, with these ancient themes, but the idea of like doctors kind of following the footsteps of Hippocrates, that kind of was interesting to me. And then the idea of like taking in patients and trying to cure them. Yeah, I was in on that.
Yeah, matching the different, because you're recruiting doctors as well and trying to match their skills to the particular condition that the patients have. Yeah. And making sure that you have enough kind of herbs or medicine to be able to treat different. So the puzzle looks kind of interesting. It has all the makings of the type of game that we would like.
Yes.
So that's why I'm most intrigued about it. Yeah. Obviously, I'm in the healthcare field. I've been battling a cold for the last 2 weeks.
If our energy's a little low, we've been really sick this week, so actually. We do need Hippocrates.
we need something.
We need something.
So I think, obviously, the theme itself, I feel like I have a relationship with. So I'm curious from that point.
Well, I became much more excited when I saw the way that the tiles clicked together. So the fact that you have doctors connecting to patients who then connect to other doctors, it just looked like a really clever way that all works. And the designer of the game has been heavily involved in other games like Trois and like Black Angel. So he certainly has a lot of design cred. Interested to check it out. We are backing this one. So we're backing Hippocrates. And it's our number 3 of this fortnight.
Nice.
So our number 2
is a game called Loop, which stands for Life of Ordinary People. This is a really fascinating theme because it's essentially a very clear commentary on consumerism and essentially our Western lives and how much, this constant chase for happiness in the form of like trying to get stuff to make us feel better and then working harder which obviously adds more stress to our life, and it's just this constant cycle of the rat race. And so it's a commentary on that, and I think it's going to be a really interesting experience to play through. I'm curious to see how it actually unfolds, because when I first saw the campaign I was like, is it glorifying that you're gonna get happier by buying stuff? But it's definitely not. Like, it's definitely making a commentary on how that's not the way to happiness.
Yeah, I think Maggie's underselling it a little bit. I actually gave it an 8. Maggie gave it a 7. And I'm deeply, deeply intrigued by this game. I was really surprised to find it. I didn't know anything about it until I first saw it. And first of all, the artwork really drew me in because it's very unlike anything that you do see in the board game industry. Everything is quite black. And then because the name of the game is Loop, all of the illustrations are done in a single, like putting the pen down and then kind of drawing them all as a loop, which is really, really cool. But the game itself, or the theme, is underpinned by a lot of like the discipline of psychology, a lot of the concepts that are about why people buy what they buy, why people do what they do to try and fulfill all of these like self-actualization needs with their credit card, essentially. And it's really, really bleak in a lot of ways. If you watch the video, that is like extremely confronting and dark, but the way it's been implemented is kind of funny, like tongue-in-cheek a little bit, and I really, really appreciated that. A lot of the cards have on them the theory as to why this would happen based on human behavior, and I think that's really interesting because you can kind of learn as you're playing, but ultimately it does still have that game feel, so it doesn't look like an educational device advice that you should only, kind of take out in the schoolroom.
Yeah.
But it really looks like a fun experience because ultimately you are trying to achieve the goals in the game by doing different activities. There are events that happen throughout the game that impact on everybody, which I love that kind of thing. And the game is ultimately competitive, and I just find it really fascinating, like the way that you buy things, like you'll buy an item and then it has a lifespan, and after that lifespan you've used it as a resource, it goes into landfill, and everything that you're doing feels like it has implications in the game. And I really like that. And it's really interesting because this game is coming out of Hong Kong. And one of the little stats that they had in the campaign was that Hong Kong has the #1 life expectancy in the world, but ranks number 78 in terms of happiness. And I was just like, wow, that obviously the designers have been inspired by this, and to like kind of pull apart why we feel like we need to go through this loop of just buying more things and then needing more things, so we're buying more things. And the other thing is that apparently money is quite hard to come by in the game, so you use credit cards, and then once that credit card is maxed out, you get another credit card, and I've spoken about credit cards.
Yeah, and you have to,
we've come full circle in this video now. We've done a loop.
Maybe this will actually be quite educational for you, Amy, having played this game.
Inception.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've gone on and on about that game, but I really think it is, and I like to back things that I think are unique and probably wouldn't get onto shelves in your local board game shop.
Yeah.
And this is one of them, and I'm really excited about it. So that is Loop, our number 2.
Our number one is John Company, 2nd edition.
It is.
Now another Cole Worley game.
We are
game. Surrounded by
another Cole. And it's another number 1 on our list. He always seems to make it to number 1 on our list. We had Oath as our most anticipated game of this year when we did our top 10 most anticipated games on Board Game Co with Alex.
Yeah.
And
Pax Pamir.
Pax Pamir.
Actually, was an introduction to Cole games. We've only ever played Root and the app version. Yeah.
And now let's talk about
John Company. Now, John Company is based on the East India Company, and it's meant to be a bit of a satirical look at that era and the sort of the thinking and the routines and the sort of saying that like pretty much everything that you saw in a Jane Austen novel would have been funded in some way by the doings or that sort of stuff of the East India Company. So it was kind of pinning it almost in like a obsession type era. Having said that, from a theme point of view, this is very much an economics game, or that's how it comes across to me. So I would be very curious to see how this satirical element, because from the bits of information that we've seen about the game, is very much around, it's an economy game. And kind of trying to like very much kind of weighing up and down the influence of your own family or your offspring that you're placing in all these different locations, and the standing of the company and how that kind of impacts on you either in a good way or a bad way. I feel like there was this initial expectation of what the theme was going to be, but then looking at the gameplay is a little bit different.
And the gameplay is really heavy.
Yeah,
and
it looks quite
and so one thing
involved.
It is, and it's I think it's meant to be much heavier than Oath, and that was something that I took pause on because we have been learning and playing Oath recently, and it doesn't, the mechanics aren't difficult, but there is a lot going on, and so it does take a while to learn. Yeah. And so this game, I was like, ooh, this is going to be even heavier. But I think what draws me in is just, I know that Cole will do an amazing job of, I know that he puts in the time to make sure that everything has
knowledge.
He has all of the research and knowledge, his background, his education, but then also he takes so much time and care into everything in the game. So the artwork, they, engaged Indian artists to put together some of the artwork in this game. It's beautiful. And then also I think the fact that you mentioned it's satire, I don't know if it's like a strong satire, but I definitely think they've recognized the role of the East India Company and the fact that they did a lot of negative things and a lot of bad things happened. But I think that the fact that they recognize that it's front and center on the campaign also has like a warning of, making sure that you pick the right audience to play this with, that everybody understands that that is the intention of the game. I think that's kind of, to me, a gold standard in how to approach these types of topics, like not to shy away from them as being like nothing bad happened back then, let's just focus on it and let's just the fact that
it needs to be acknowledged and it needs to be
acknowledging it and
like what's your point of view essentially.
Yes. And it does feel like in the game we only have watched some a couple of videos on how it plays, but like you said, there are trade-offs that you need to make, and I think probably interwoven into those trade-offs is the feeling that it's not always fun and games, and
you're also doing it for really kind of dodgy reasons or like less than honorable reasons.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. The illustration of the characters from the East India Company, they look really almost grotesque, and I like that because often what happens is the baddies in the story or the bad things that happen in history can sometimes be really glorified in the artwork. Like you always see them on a horse wearing like all gold. And so I think that's another thing that they've purposely done to add to that commentary. And I really appreciate that. And also, if you were after a copy of Pax Pamir 2nd edition, you can pick up it's been very hard to get. You can pick up a copy of that as part of this campaign. So that is our number 1, John Company 2nd edition. And that is our top 10.
That's our top 10.
For this fortnight. So thank you for watching. Thank you to all of the Joey fam out there. That's our channel membership. We really appreciate your support. Please consider joining if you like what we do. We don't take money from publishers, so it's the only way that we support our channel. But otherwise, thank you for watching. Have a wonderful week ahead, and we'll be back with more game reviews soon. Bye for now.